Yes, we can definitely speak about a new liability on non-residents supplying services electronically in Turkish market to Turkish consumers. When I say Turkish consumers, I mean individuals who are not VAT taxpayers. You may recall back in 12th of December 2017, new VAT provision was introduced in VAT code, and in pursuant to this provision, VAT will be arising from the services which are supplied, which are provided by non-residents to Turkish market electronically. Particularly after this new provision, a communique which are defining the scope and the way of the declaration has been published in the official Gazette on the 31st December 2017, and it is in force from 1st of January 2018. Okay, the first step is to determine whether the services provided electronically are under the scope of the communique. If it is established that the services provided electronically are under the scope of communique, then the second step is to make a VAT registration at the Turkish authorities. With the communique, they brought special VAT registration for electronic service providers, which is the way that this type of companies, non-resident companies, should register themselves. Just not to make confusion, I want to underline a very critical point, which is companies who are providing services electronically to Turkish market through establishments located in Turkey are not going to be subject to this new provision. So if you have your headquarters in Turkey, or if you have a branch or any type of establishment pursuant to Turkish law, it means that the VAT declaration will be carried out through different methods. So this new VAT provision is for the companies who are non-resident, who are not having any headquarters, branches, or any type of establishments in Turkey, and providing services electronically to the Turkish market to individuals who are not VAT taxpayers. Yes, so we established that we are under the scope. We make our special VAT registration for electronic service provider. Then the third and fourth step is making your declaration in person to the required standards and carry out the payment to the Turkish authorities. So we have basically four steps. We can actually speak about four steps. Particularly for the non-residents, determine whether you are in the scope, make your VAT registration, the third one, declare pursuant to the standards, and make your payment. This is the most frequent question that I'm receiving. Actually, there is a penalty. So Turkish laws and regulations brings a penalty for the non-complying non-residents who are providing services electronically to Turkish market for individuals. So if you don't comply, you will be subject to penalty pursuant to the tax procedural code. Another question that I'm facing is that how Turkish authorities will know about it. Again, under the communique, Turkish authorities brought an obligation for the banks and the payment and e-money institutions in Turkey. So, for example, if a Turkish consumer pays your services through the credit card, which is the case, or using some type of payment services institutions who are licensed in Turkey, then these informations needs to be provided by the banks and the payment services institutions to the Turkish authorities. They are under obligation to provide such information. If they don't do so, they will also be subject to some type of penalties as well. So, from my point of view, it will be very difficult not to comply with such new VAT provision, as all the information will be provided to the Turkish authorities. So lastly, what I can say is it will be very interesting to see the reaction of the international players and particularly companies who are non-resident but operating in Turkish market with big volumes. I think we will have an agenda of the discussion whether keeping the services as non-resident or having some type of Turkish establishments in Turkey. So I expect many discussions will revolve around on this point particularly, but there is one certainty, which is with the new VAT provision, foreign companies needs to take some steps to understand what needs to be done here and what will be the best for their future in Turkish market.